Welcome to Hope for Parents with Struggling Teens, the podcast for moms and dads in the fight of their lives. I'm Brandon Joffe, a licensed therapist and owner of Inspired Resolutions Counseling Center. For over 20 years, I've helped families face the chaos of defiance, addiction, anxiety, and despair. And I know how dark and lonely this road can feel. This podcast is about cutting through the noise. I'm here to weed out the unhealthy trends in modern mental health and get back to what actually works. Truth, clarity, boundaries, and connection. No fluff, no promises, just real help for real parents. So let's get to work. Welcome back to Hope for Parents with Struggling Teens. I am going to talk about why our mental health culture isn't actually helping kids get better right now. And I know that's a huge thing to say. And I'm not saying that nobody's getting better. And I'm not saying that as mental health professionals, we are all failing. But I do think that there's a mental health culture that we need to take a look at. I think the pendulum has swung in a way that needs correcting from being all the way over here to all the way over here. And so it feels illegal to say, right now we're talking about mental health more than ever. We have more therapists, more diagnoses, more school programs, more Instagram psychologists, more awareness campaigns than I think we've ever had at any point in history, certainly during my lifetime. And yet kids are not getting better. A lot of kids are getting worse, right? Overall, I think we can all agree that there's more mental health issues identified than ever before. Rates of anxiety, depression, self-harm, suicide are continuing to climb. There's not a huge dip. And let's be honest, you know what? We should be kind of terrified. We should be taking a look at this. There's something not going well. And I think we should be asking this question. What if the mental health culture we've built to help kids, to help people in general, is actually a part of the problem? Here's the taboo. We've created a mental health culture that feels like it's compassionate and it's super progressive. And we talk a lot about safe places for your emotions. But I'm going to say that in some circumstances, no, I'm going to be bold and say it. In many circumstances, what we are teaching is helplessness and dependency. So we lived in a time when I was early on in my career where there needed to be more safe ways to talk about things like feelings. There needed to be more discussions. We weren't even having the discussion about mental health. People were not admitting to mental health. And I remember, I don't remember much about my sociology class, but I can remember this so vividly. I remember the professor saying that every issue that is dominant, basically every big issue, will have a swing. Every sociological phenomenon, every issue is going to have a pendulum swing. And when that pendulum gets to the middle, it's a time of peace. It's a time of sanity, basically. But in response to it being all the way over on one side, because of the nature of human beings, it's going to go to the other side. And the goal with specific issues is to get to the pendulum to kind of ramp down, for those swings to not be so severe. And honestly, right now, I think we are suffering a severe swing from mental health being something that was denied, there being no safe place for emotions. That's all we're talking about when it comes to mental health. And we're ignoring data. We're ignoring some of the important studies that we found. And we're just kind of plugging in. A lot of therapists are just plugging in what they think and what they feel instead of sticking to the research-based theories. And so we've built a system around emotional care that profits emotionally, socially, and financially from endless distress, which rarely teaches kids to carry pain. We're not teaching kids to regulate. We're not teaching that to grow through it. Now, again, I'm not saying everything and everybody and every mental health professional out there. But this is the culture. I've been to plenty of trainings and summits to know that this is the culture for treating mental health. I am not anti-therapy. I am a therapist. I've built my career. My passion is in helping people with their mental health. I've spent decades sitting with people who are going through real suffering, some things that many people can't even imagine. And I've worked with suicide in teens. I've worked with addicted parents, broken families, grief, trauma, just complete despair. And so I'm not trying to attack the mental health care today as a whole, but I do think we need to start asking tough questions. Okay. I think we need to start critiquing how it's being practiced, how it's being packaged, and what we're teaching, especially to teens, which here at Inspired Resolutions, that's what we do. And so let's take a look at why this type of culture has caught on so like a wildfire, and why everybody's pretty much accepting it, right? Why is this model thriving? First, because validation feels good. It soothes, it calms, it reduces immediate distress. Second, you know what? This model is scalable. You can teach language, some of this psycho babble that feels good, this language of ultimate self-care, ultimate safe place, etc. You can teach that language faster than you can teach people difficult skills to cope. And you can name feelings a lot faster than you can build character tolerance or discipline. And this, I'm going to lose some followers after I say this, but look, the third reason is that fragility keeps this system relevant, and it keeps a lot of people who maybe aren't doing a good job in their mental health care relevant. It keeps them making friends and being liked in the therapy room. And so a child who believes, I am anxious, therefore I can't. I am overwhelmed, therefore I stop. I am triggered, therefore someone else must change, will always need this system that we have created for mental health. A child who learns I'm anxious and I can breathe, regulate, think, act, and recover eventually doesn't need the mental health system, doesn't need the medications. And so I'm in a funny business, because if I'm doing my job, I lose clients. And so this system of mental health, both the prescribing medications and providing the care, doesn't grow based on people who graduate and can take care of themselves. And so, look, saying this gets me in trouble. Okay. Validation without skill building is not healing. All it is soothing, comforting, and sometimes it's necessary, but on its own, it just reinforces fragility. And this stance as a therapist, while it might be backed by science, might be backed by, the proof in the pudding in terms of the practice and the work that we do here, is not something that people want to hear. It's not a discussion that people want to have in the mental health world. And so, again, we're teaching kids what they feel without teaching them what to actually do with it. We're teaching them how to almost pass the buck rather than take responsibility, even for things that they didn't cause, that aren't their fault. We've got this really bizarre belief that we're teaching these generations that if it's not your fault, you're not responsible for it. Well, that's just not true. If you're affected by it, if your family's affected by it, it's your responsibility to take care of it. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. We're naming pain endlessly while avoiding the harder work of training resilience, emotional regulation, accountability, frustration tolerance. And this is the big one, is leadership. And look, it's kind of ironic because kids, I think, are smarter than ever, honestly. And they have the ability to absorb the message underneath the message, I think, more than my generation could. And here's the messages that they have come to accept and believe. My feelings are dangerous. My discomfort means something is wrong. My anxiety should be removed, not managed. My environment needs to adapt to me, needs to make me comfortable. And that is not mental health. That is emotional dependency. And so here's the cultural hard truth. We taught kids how to name pain, but not how to carry and navigate it. Pain is a part of being human. Anxiety is a part of growth. It isn't usually a diagnosis. Discomfort is a part of mastering any part of life. It's not always a diagnosis. Failure is a part of building confidence. Failure is so important. We have designed a society that has taught people to avoid failure at all costs. When we rush to remove those experiences, anxiety, feeling depression, not even depression, feeling down is not always depression. When we remove all those experiences, those negative hurdles, instead of teaching them how to move through them, we are stealing a vital piece to becoming a human being, an adult with an identity. We're literally stripping them of the things that are necessary to form a healthy identity. We are taking away from them the ability to be competent. And competence is a lot more important than comfort. If you want to find happiness, being comfortable factors in very little. Having those dopamine rushes factors in very little. In fact, competence, having overcome, having gone through failure, makes somebody content. It creates an identity that can find happiness in even the most difficult situations. And so what I see in the therapy room, I see kids who can articulate their trauma beautifully. Man, some of these kids have more psychobabble language than I do, but they collapse when they're asked to tolerate their discomfort. I see teens who know literally every diagnostic term, but have no daily structure, no discipline, no recovery habits, and their emotional muscles are tiny. And so I see parents walking on eggshells, terrified of triggering their child, accidentally reinforcing the very anxiety that they're trying to protect them from. It's just mind blowing. And I see therapists who are good people, stuck in the society's model of doing therapy and prioritizing emotional safety over growth and strength. Safety matters. I get it. But strength is what keeps children alive long term. It's what keeps them happy long term. It what helps them turn into successful adults. So it's safety to an extent, but it's uncomfortable safety. Safety doesn't mean that you're comfortable, by the way. And so what actually helps teens and kids heal is not taking away all their pain. It's look, healing, there's a capacity. It's the capacity to feel without completely collapsing. It's the capacity to self-soothe without avoiding things that are difficult. It's the capacity to fail without feeling complete shame and complete identity crisis. It's the capacity to act even if you're feeling down or anxious. And that, honestly, that requires a structured life. It requires knowing how to set boundaries, how to be accountable, how to repeat things that you don't want to repeat because you don't feel motivated. It requires experiencing discomfort without it making you unhappy. Now, I'm not saying we should dismiss feelings. I'm not saying we should ever tell anybody, just get over it. I don't want to be cruel. But we experts have got to find a way to encourage people through guided exposure to real life experience without diagnosing it all, we've got to find a way to support people rather than help them avoid or rescue them. And so here's my message. Okay. If you're a parent, an educator, another therapist, I want you to hear me clearly. Your job is not to eliminate your child's pain. Your job is to help them become somebody who can survive it and grow from it. That means, and I know this is hard, your children can handle what's coming their way. That means that you sometimes have to say, I know this is hard and I know you can handle it. I won't remove this, but I will walk alongside you. I want to remind you that you're struggling. You are not broken. That is the backbone of healthy, non-codependent love of a child. And kids need that more than they need endless accommodation. Mental health awareness was an important step. Finding safety in discussing emotions was an important step. Awareness without direction is a complete dead end. If we want kids to actually get better, not just feel understood, we have to shift from this comfort first to competence first. Confidence isn't built by avoiding pain. It's built by discovering, oh, wow, I've been here before. I survived it. I can survive it again. I have the skills. Hey, you know what? I didn't completely break the last time I went through this. And that lesson literally saved lives. If we could begin this message in a heavier way in the mental health professional, we are going to save lives, not just save people from feeling down. I know that this might be a difficult message for a lot of people, and I hope that I didn't step on too many toes, but I believe fervently that we have got to start taking this swing in the mental health world and finding a balance in the message and a balance in the care that we give. So I appreciate you listening. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening to Hope for Parents with Struggling Teens. If you found this episode helpful, please like, follow, and share it with someone who needs it. For more support and resources, you can visit us at inspiredresolutionscounseling.com. Remember, you are not alone.